How's it going? All right. Trying to put something interesting here. Hope it's not bland. Hope that it's something that sparks people's interest. Always try to keep like a little bit of sarcasm, but not try to get too pushy with it. Maybe, or I think the word is probably go too far with the sarcasm, especially whenever you're trying to make a point and trying to be serious. So my connection. I was talking earlier. I was going to go into. I'm going to do a screen share. I don't know how long this is going to take to do, but now the word is out that the world was much smaller before, and it expanded with the water. God put the water here. It's a totally created planet. The whole solar system, the universe, and everything is constructed. It was created and it was made. It all has a purpose. It all connects together. And there's a mathematical ingenious to it. And I would say for the most part, we are made human with no matter how far, phenomenally far out we can go with our technology and our minds, we're still we are warp speed away from being able to compute the same mathematics that I believe is going on there. It's something that you can say, obviously, hey, this is what I believe, but is there any way I can prove it? I showed and I proved that the world was much smaller and it was not a Pangea. I said it was, what did I call it? Look over here. I called the thing Pangea because they called it Pangea. I called it um it doesn't say in any of my titles that I'm looking at right now. You don't know the name of what you came up with because it's fresh, it's new. I just came up with it. Hold on, give me a second. Not a complete dunce. Just to explain that we're all human. That's why that right there can necessarily be laughable to even my own self. Practically that I didn't. There it is. Pangea Sphere Expando. I'll put this in a screen share so that it'll show up here so I can show you right here on one of my videos. I did put it in there how I came up with Pangea Sphere Expando True Puzzle of the World. So the Pangea was not a big continent out in the middle of the ocean. It was once a completely smaller Earth that has expanded throughout time, thousands of years that we've been here. Now they want to argue millions of years with thousands of years. God has always existed. So, where did everything come from to make the planet up in particular and all of its people? It's still a mystery, and I'm not so sure that he wants to come out and just explain all this stuff. But the true fact of the matter is that the planet is coming away from more of a elaborate science thought, and they're going to go more towards, I believe, a spiritual belief. So there is going to be a transition where the the devil Lucifer and the archangels are going to come with their false religion and false teaching, and they're going to make the world a spiritual place to be. So like you'll see them do perform healings and different. I see them being also deviant, like doing tricks and stuff like that today. I see the different people that do that, and I believe I don't hate them. I don't have anything against these people who are doing tricks, magical types of performances on in front of people on TV and in other places, that are now openly like seem like they're coming opening dimensions and stuff like that, going in and out of it. And they're definitely, in my opinion, I believe that they, instead of staying faithful and true to God and seeing what God will give you, they made a deal or a pact somewhat with, or not somewhat, they did their own particular deal, um, to get something to make them famous. And it's not anything new. We all know that people sell their souls all the time. And I don't know how else to describe making a deal with the devil if it's not for your soul, because he goes for the gusto. And he's going to try to fool people into believing different things. So now back to the phenomenon thing, because this is a phenomenon type of program type of thing that I'm trying to push out here. And with the connection now to, I was like wondering, like I was like just hoping that it wasn't something morbid or evil like a demon craft or something like that coming to try to tell me something or take me away, or I could have possibly been in real danger. Let's say up to a point you're going to be skeptical if you have not ever seen a UFO, or maybe you might have believed it, or maybe you believed it and that's why you seen the UFO, because UFOs knew that you believed it in it already. So why wouldn't they, you know, why would they want to go make a believer out of somebody in some phenomenon like that when they can keep us all wondering with then when there's people that are out there that don't know? So they can keep the argument going. Is there UFOs? Well, I believe there is, but obviously, even though I seen what I saw, and I'll swear up and down on my life of what I saw, I'll still have somebody that will argue with me and debate or laugh at or mock at me for what I seen. So anyhow, I'm looking at, I'm thinking, I'm trying to figure out Enoch. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to dig in and trying to figure out about about Ezekiel and Enoch, is who I believe is the two end days prophets. I was taught that there was three. There was three end of days prophets, and when I went and looked for a report on the internet, I found this thing on here that says not that, it says two. This right here, end time harvest revival. I'm gonna. It's not extremely long at all. It's only that long what they have up there. So I'm gonna go back to it. I'm gonna use the website right here. I'll highlight that so you can push pause at a later date when I have, or a later date when I finally had this uploaded and it's a completed video. People could take this link or whatever and trace it. It's pretty easy. All you have to do is say www.god shall God so treats ministry .org or whatever. You can, if you could spell that, whatever. I know. I have no idea why this UFO that I seen chose me. If I'm kind of illiterate, I'll tell you a little bit of my background. Since there's nobody else around, now I can let this off of my chest, and I can kind of let people understand a little bit where I'm coming from. So I was raised in the military. Um, Something happened to me when I was a baby. When I was 3 months old, I was injected with two immunization shots heading over to Okinawa. My father was in the Marine Corps. There's a Marine emblem on my shirt. Hoorah. happy belated Memorial Weekend. Hope everybody enjoyed themselves. But anyhow, I was given this because they didn't keep accurate record of the shots that were given or something, and somehow they gave me 2 shots. So it screwed me up. So I was um, not able to. It just really hindered me really bad. And I had a teacher at one point that I don't know exactly what she was trying to do to me. She wanted me to go in special needs, like or something, kind of school or program or something like that in first grade. And so she tested me, and she kept they had a problem with military people in this country, and my father happened to be a Vietnam veteran, and he was still in the service, and he would still wear his Marine uniform to work or whatever. You're allowed to wear it in public if you're on your way to work. You're not allowed to wear your uniform out in public. It's against the military uniform code. I'm pretty sure. So you can wear your deltas, or you can wear the other more casual uniforms, but not the camouflage ones you would fight in necessarily. So anyhow, I don't know how I got onto that, but I was given these 2 shots, and there's heavy metal or some kind of compound in the shots or something like that. I'm not sure exactly. I can't explain it. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a dunce. Not really a dunce. They proved there that I had. The point of the uniform thing was because the lady, my teacher, was a person that protested the war or didn't have a problem with it. So that came into, she brought that in on me in the classroom because my father was proud to serve. So I got even more kind of the shaft. And what happened was I was autistic. So I was handicapped. So, like, if I'm not in a different level of handicapness from that, um, now I am still, I would guess, an autistic person, but I'm just reformed from being severely the way I was, not able to respond to people, and have all of the symptoms of being autistic. So I don't have all of them, and bear with me. I don't know if you'll notice anything different with me now or whatever, but that's a true story that really happened. The Mama Sans, when I got there, they loved me to death from what I heard. And they used to pass me back and forth off of their balconies. I learned Okinawa style martial arts, and still to this day, am very handy in hand to hand, and also street fighting and handling myself because of being raised in the military and those martial art experiences that I had from the military. Great experience. I think that if there was a gigantic amount of people that were in there that wanted in there, so many that they had to cut people loose because there were so many that were in there that were just enthusiastic about being there. And America had 100%, 99% support for the troops, then we would win some really good wars and battles out there. And I don't want to confuse it with being wrong if people want to talk politics and democracy and all this and that. I believe our troops are doing the right thing, but as far as politically and our politicians go, I think that they are really kind of moronic at times, and that's my opinion. And you won't change that opinion until I see some smarter, more intelligent people that appreciate people more than what I've seen lately coming from a total cockeyed government that we have right now is just ridiculous. So, besides that, I didn't name any political parties. I just said they're pretty lame. And it got even more lame, and I knew it was going to be more lame lately than it was. So not necessarily just here recently lately either. And I mean like the last decade we've been getting pretty screwed over in America. I don't believe in taxing people. I think that if the government were doing their job, that we would have everything so sufficient, everything would work so well, people would be able to save all their money and all of their resources and everything would be stockpiling barrel up to the sky, and we wouldn't have to worry about anything, inflation or anything, if we had truly had people that cared about other people and where we were going. So I am kind of a little political, so just for you to know that. And I did go to college later on. I went and I got an adult high school diploma, and I passed the GED thing up. I just wanted a high school diploma because I had worked hard for it until I was 21. I went back to school later, and I was able to achieve that. So there's a lot of things that are in there that were worked out really well for me in contrast to bad things, which I think is typical for everybody. Everybody has a point where they're coming from, they hit rock bottom, or or they're just not doing well at all, and they really need help from somebody else to whatever it is. It's just like magic, you know. In my sense, if you ever wanted to use magic, not use it to trick people or be of the dark arts or anything like that, but magic is just like static, like you rub your hair and then the balloon sticks to the wall. But that concept right there and touching somebody and making them feel better about themselves. Magic, not magic. Magic, I believe I have the ability to be able to conjure up powers that God could give me, like witches and warlocks. So we're going back to now where I was talking about. We have a more of a spiritual type of thing. So people are like more and more. I was hearing this guy talk about how laid back we've got come customized everything for people instead of telling people the truth and how it is, and that you need to repent for your sins and feel sorry for them. I've asked people before, well, you didn't feel sorry for that, for what you did, you know, or you didn't, you had sex with somebody and you didn't feel immoral. You didn't feel the immorality of what you were doing. So there's a lot of people, and they said no. They said that they did not feel the immorality, not mortality, immortality, but morale. So ethics, being honest and straight up. So now you got people like that. They're gonna, instead of like, if they did, I do believe though, if Jesus were here today and we were back in that time, when he came and he was healing people, I believe he would have made a firm believer out of so many people today in Christianity if they would have saw that man feed the masses, heal the sick, talk a straight line talk that he did. Um, but there was a couple of things that I noticed. Now I know that they say he didn't sin, so he got out of this one, in my opinion, from not being able to be considered sinning. Like whenever he went into the temple and he threw a fit in the temple because they were trading in there. Um, I don't know that he really won anybody over like that or really proved a point other than peeing people off and having them want to kill him even more. So I believe that he was mad because he was the son of God. So whenever God sent him here, he sent him like how you would feel if you had a close bond with your dad here on earth, and how you feel if somebody was messing with your dad. So somebody was messing with his dad. If he told something to somebody he really meant business. If he told something to somebody, so when he did that, he uh he was coming out more of his own prediction what will happen in the future. Prophetic. Okay, so I wanted to look this word up before I just went and said relating to or characterizing of a prophet or prophecy. Okay, when he also when in my belief, my opinion, when Jesus told he was the Son of God now, any of us would get highly offended, and whether or not it's right or not, you can't really call it a sin if somebody pees me off, and I blow a gasket, but I don't do anything to the person, but I blow the gasket and I let them know that somehow, even if I didn't blow a gasket, I just don't talk to them anymore. Just like that. I'm not sinning to the person. I'm doing what I'm actually allowed to do. If somebody were to diss my father, if somebody disses my father, I have full reign, full right to go after that person as their son, more so than people or the law that exist or people even would imagine or believe. If you would just stop and think about that for a second, your dad, somebody's messing with your dad. I don't think that the law and God really doesn't get involved with that feeling that much either, because it was Jesus' own feeling. And the other description was when the man told him, and Jesus said it's easier for a camel to strum through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter heaven. It is a true what you say, how we phrase things. So it was true in a sense how you would phrase or word certain things, how we do today. It was just a way that he would phrase something back then, but I do not believe that it is easier for a camel to strum through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter heaven, as long as the rich man didn't sell his soul, his or her soul, or blasphemy of the Holy Spirit to get to their wealth. Then there's no way that I would believe that they would be damned. But the person would have to come to realization that the requirements and what they're asking from rich people is 10% of what you own in wealth. If you haven't given 10% of your money to God, something, I would definitely say that it can't just be something. Now I thought maybe it could, but I definitely believe it has to be something that is in the bounds of something good, Christian, that the Christians are doing for God. You'd almost have to pray, if you believe the way I do, that you would pray for what direction to go. Just like how I was saying, I would say before I would move and get up and go or do the next thing I do, I would hope that I would have enlightenment and an insight from God. Because if you go somewhere and you don't have the right insight, how are you going to be able to perform your duties unless you uh, pray about those navigational functions with your religion as a Christian? I have dogs, and everybody knows they're just like children, and that you gotta watch them, otherwise they get out of control because they like children. Some of them are all right. These guys are all right. I can leave them in here, and if I don't leave something like a cat down low or anything, they'll leave all my stuff alone. So they're pretty well behaved for animals. I feel very blessed with what I have. So, um, anyhow, when Jesus said that to the guy, he was mad at the guy because the guy wouldn't give up his riches and go with Jesus and give it up for the gospel, which was wrong. because, well, he really needed to talk to his father about it. If he was going to get his inheritance then and put it into Christianity, um, into the gospel, that would have helped the gospel out tremendously at the time. Um, but he would have probably had to have talked to his dad about it. And I don't know that the guy really said to Jesus, "Is there any other way that I can serve you?" Because you got to remember all these people seeing him heal people or whatnot. So if we would have been there, we would have been more than likely converted for sure. Seeing something phenomenal like that, um, he breaking fish and bread apart. So you got like a phenom that's in Christ. It's written down, whether you want to, you want to profess Christianity or not. It's an actual fact that he was here and that this stuff happened. Um, so, um, and there's another key thing to it too. The Holy Spirit has a big, tremendous influence on this whole thing. And people were saying, well, God says, "Thou shalt not kill or murder," and is he going against his own laws or rules if he kills somebody? I don't believe so, because for one, he says, "Thou shalt not kill." He's the judger of everything, so he has to make a quick decision about the way things are going. Spirituality, whenever you come out of the spiritual realm, you go more into a scientific kind of thought process where there is no God or thing like that. Then you come back to spirituality, and you're talking about over a span of thousands of years up to the point in time where we're at now. God takes this stuff very, very serious. So where I was saying before, like, I don't want to make too many hasty jokes, and come off like a joker and not be believed. When it's actually a more serious thing than I can even imagine now. Even more now, it was talking about going back to Enoch. I wanted to report Enoch and Ezekiel as the prophets that are going to come back. What I think, in my opinion, they have a couple other ones on that website, other people that they believe could also be shoo-ins for that. But it's a spiritual thing that's not very talked about. But somehow I was lucky enough when I was young to have been taught and told about this stuff, about the two prophets in particular. And I think that is a pretty sad thing that people overlook the fact that these different spiritual things happen, like the UFO that I seen in '98. It looked like an Egyptian pyramid, brand new. We off the assembly pyramid line. Um, uh, looked like it was, in my opinion, how I've always said it, no matter how I describe the thing in particular, is that it looked freshly cut. Like it was just like the stone was freshly cut out of a mountain somewhere, and they just put this pyramid together, and this thing was floating around, and it was messing with me and my friend. And now I think that it gave me some prophetic insight. So now I know a little bit about the Pangea. It wasn't a Pangea. It was it was Pangea Sphere Expando. And I said, should you actually call it something pre-expando? And the reason why is because it was obviously before the world expanded. The Bible talks about the God dividing the planet in the Bible after the Great Flood too. So through all this time, He's been expanding it more and more. So um, the the UFO that I saw now, talking about Enoch and stuff. Um, I just lost myself right there. I wish that I would have written down why I just brought up Enoch again, but I can't do anything about it now. So I was trying to think, is there a connection to this UFO that I seen now and the New Jerusalem? Because they said that it is either the way that they said the shape of it is either a cube, and then there's the only other way that you could describe the dimension and the shape. The Bible explains that the New Jerusalem is going to come down out of the heavens and land on earth. So more spirituality comes into play here at the end of times. Um, is really striking to me now, going back and trying to study Enoch, and now I'm gonna have to go from Enoch to see what Ezekiel did now, to see how that, because they're a team, so they might, more than likely, I would say probably are somewhere together. Maybe they're in heaven together. Maybe. Um, I don't want to speculate too much without finding out the true answers to give people and keep speculating all the time. But one of the things that I'm trying to explain right now that they're not discussing, they're discussing how you have to be squared away and ready for Christ when He comes back, and it's serious, and everybody has to take heed to all of the warnings or whatnot. But they're not talking about the most important thing that I consider the most important thing, which would have me baffled to the point I'm talking about it, and I was taught about it my whole entire time, my life, and then I know about it. It would put me in such a state that I would probably, I'd be, I'd be baffled. I'd be too baffled to have been come up with some theories and thoughts on my own. Also, with being indoctrinated and instructed with turn of events that are going to happen in the future. And I really do not believe now that also that I'm going to be here. I believe I'll be in the rapture. So people want to talk about phenomenal type of things that occur or whatever. That's also a phenomenal thing. If the rapture is going to happen anytime within our lifetimes or anytime soon, you'll know that it's going through it once I stop doing my broadcasts on here. Once I stop doing it and I disappear, and they're like, there's no explanation for where this dude and everybody else that Christ comes back for and we're gone, then you'll know that the rapture had already happened, and then you're in trouble. Because then you have to either take the mark of the beast or deny the mark of the beast. And then I'm not sure if just everybody in general is tortured as a whole, because like it describes a scorpion being able to bite people. It could bite you, but you can't die where you'd normally die from a rattlesnake bite. The rattlesnake could bite you, but you'll feel the pain and the venom and everything from it, and you'll like, oh, you'll wish that you had passed through and went through death over it, but you won't be able to die from these different, um, very toxic things that are happening. Toxic cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, even sex. I mean, most toxic, vile things are going to be going on here, and nobody's going to be able to die from it. So now, is there a how do you put a phenomenon? Now, if I was to bring that up into a topic now, speaking of ancient aliens, they were to use that one for a topic. oh, Revelations. During Revelations, nobody can die, right? So does that mean they take Christians who don't take the mark, they take them off and torture them? I always thought that there was a good chance that they would align themselves up with the Jews, the Christians and the Jews, a lot like they are right now. But we have to keep in mind that people that we really like and adore, like President Netanyahu, Israeli Prime Minister, is not going to be in the rapture. He believes in the same God that we do, and that's another probably big reason why they debate on the thing, but they don't. They debate it more closely, not like enemies, but more friendlier than that. Not always, but typically, and then right now, they are Christians and Jews in particular, is because they profess the same God, but Christ came and became a witness to the masses, and whenever select few took his blood and the bread for the flesh, like tithes, not tithes, and whenever you give offering at certain times, they give you the cup. You know, you accept Christ to wash your sins away with His blood. So, and that's what His blood was shed for. Was for us to be able to not be. Also, it goes into account for being barbarians. Traditional people, Christians, used to throw rocks and stone people who are proven guilty of something or whatnot. And I believe that all of these things like stoning people to death and um, also um, where they sacrifice the lamb and they put the blood on the door, the Sabbath and that. Um, like Ozzy Osbourne has the Black Sabbath, is that right? They're the Black Sabbath. It's the opposite of what the real Sabbath was to do a sacrifice for God. I don't know that they're going to be sacrificing stuff legitimately in the future anytime soon, that that's what God wants to go back and have people sacrifice for Him again. Maybe. But I don't. But the way that I look at it is that we're no longer barbarians. We're not butchers like that anymore, because Christ came. It was a part of His sympathy and sorrow that He had for mankind, that we would have to do that and go through these traumatic times. And I'm sure that's working up to the war aspect, is why He's got to wipe out all wars eventually, and there will be no turning back on it in particular. This is a continuation of another video, another broadcast that I did, and I would like to possibly maybe conjoin the two later on. I'm going to look in my video assortments and see if I can't actually go in there and video dial all those two videos. Important discussion. The last one that I made, I cut it and was able to edit it. So I kind of have a little roundabout idea how I'm going to go about connecting the two so that I can make it the one video that I was looking for. Before I was interrupted on the last one, if I get interrupted now, I'm just going to stop it now, not get irritated. I'm going to come back and I'll refinish it. And like I said, I'll conclude it with another video and I'll learn how to staple them together. So anyhow, I'm doing this video right here in particular. I'm going to try to not take a long time doing it if I can. I'm a mumbler. I'm a type of person that likes to talk, obviously. So anytime I get an opportunity or a window to do that, just hope I'm not naive and don't take it for granted, and hope that I do a good job and don't waste people's times. All right. So right now, my move is today I'm working against what I would consider as a Christian person against evil and probably the world for the most part, which I don't take everybody to be in every religious perspective to be evil. You know, I just don't. I think of it more of I would like to be able to convince people what I'm talking about is truthful and to bring people along with what I'm saying more. But evidently, I'll be probably talking to a lot of people that already believe in the Bible, how I believe. So I'm hoping that I'm reaching people other than the choir. And in particular, the acquired part though that I am trying to focus on in particular is I want to instruct people with one message, and that is what they've been teaching everybody, because everybody talks. We're talking about the end of times and Revelations before it happens. There's several things that come to pass, and there's already things that bear, like Israel had been made a state. They were took back into their homeland, and the world recognized them, except for who? I know that they didn't recognize Japan, and I'm pretty sure that there's somebody in the pack with all the rest of the countries that helped initially with the United States get Israel back into their home country. There's one there that doesn't recognize them or something. I'll have to research that. But that's not what I'm talking about in particular. I'm just talking about the fact that they went back into their homeland is in the Bible. And that's way before we had this discussion, way before automobiles and aeroplanes and all of this crazy technology that we have. And we're trying to open up and nitpick the Bible, not because, me personally, because I have a problem with God or don't think He exists. I believe that I get a little bit more insight, maybe because of my belief. Will maybe you pay attention to things a little bit more, and you're able to put that into your Christian narrative and your perspective that you have that you've been taught. So I just want to talk. Uh, I see that I had on my list. I wanted to talk about atheists, but I have absolutely no idea what I want to talk about atheists or to them about. The only thing that I said to them recently was, you guys get supported by Christians so much to go ahead and be an atheist and just do whatever you want, and we accept you, but you don't accept us. It's almost like atheists do, but the ones that come up and make a big deal in the courts and try to take religious plaques down and put their whatever that spaghetti crap atheist thing in there is just a joke. And I wouldn't think that most atheists, you know, think that joke's very funny. I don't know if they do, that they don't, but at the same time, it's almost as if the people that are acting atheists are not actually atheists, and they're actually from some kind of cult or something like that. But I wish there was a way that you could go back and really research these people and find out exactly who they are and what church they go to, because I guarantee you, atheists that come up and test religion and Christ and Christianity, they are denouncing God in that for another reason altogether. An actual atheist would not care, because there's not enough Christians, and there's no Christians, as far as I know, that are pushing religion other than you thinking, oh, this guy's another quirky Christian coming up here trying to preach religion to me. But the fact is when people die, that is what is mentioned when they go to hell. When people go to hell, it's a real true thing, and people won't want to act like it's non-existing. But it's one of the things that's discussed, is that we're, as Christians, we're like, well, we want to know as ourselves, how many times was that person told the word, and they just didn't want anything to do with it. And there has to be a way where you can, at least discuss this stuff with people and them not get irate with you or think that you're cramming it down their throat. But they definitely need to hear it because those people go to hell. And what I do believe that because the Bible says that people who go to hell are going to remain there for all of eternity, there is an exclusion to that, and it is the people that have not been reached to Jesus. They want to talk about like Jesus came to the Americas back when he was here. I have no idea about any of that. All I know is that there is demons, and they come into play, and they can do a lot of the same types of things, but they're tricked. They like to focus in on tricking people. So they were taught whatever they were taught was something other than a Christian or other than somebody who actually knows what God is instructing people and what He really means to explain to these people. So there's people out there that have died, Indians, other tribal type of people that are in hell, and a lot of them are going to deny it when the three prophets we're talking about now, that's how we're dragging the three prophets into this in the time scenario. It says two end-day prophets is what I read, was reading about, but I was taught at one point that they say that there's two, but we all talk about three for some reason, and I'd like to get to the bottom of why that is. It's just like the same thing that people debate where Christ comes back in the rapture. Does he come back 3.5 years into the tribulation, or does he come at the very beginning before it starts? I'm one that believes that he comes before it starts, but we'll have to see. And anyway, so these end-day prophets, I'm trying to explain this video, or what I'm talking about right now in particular, has a lot more to do with what people are not told. So they want to focus in on heaven and hell and scare people with religion and the sheer reality that we all know. We all know there's a reality if you're not saved. If it really is real, what I'm describing, how I believe, then there's a lot of people that are going to be in trouble, and they're in trouble right now. And a lot of it has to do with, I don't consider people ungodly men or anything like that until I can get a sense of who they are and where they're coming from and what they do. And then it's more of than just an opinion and me trying to be judgmental. Then I'm actually aware of who somebody is. So I try and stay in that sense and not be judgmental at all, even at gay people. And I'm a Christian, and basically I believe that I'm not supposed to believe in being homosexual or homosexuality, but I still don't give homosexuals a bad time. I'm not one that would, except if they have some kind of interest with me and my body in particular, then I would ask them. It's something that I don't feel that I get irate about. I think it's something that I truly am sincere, and I would say, well, please don't do that. Please don't look at me like a sex object unless you're hot, blonde, have a girl mechanism here, and you're straight. And also, I believe in marriage, so going around and fornicating, which I'm not gonna deny or admit. I'm just gonna say I believe it's wrong, but we're all human beings. So anyhow, this focus that I have right now in particular, I told you I have a knack for talking, and I'll sit there and talk forever if you let me. Other times I scare people because I also do this other thing where it's a complete 180 in reverse of that, and I'll sit there and not say a word. I'll just be completely quiet. So I want to talk about the prophets because what they're talking about is they're talking about stuff that isn't going to make people aware. Part of how there's a lot of people that fall away, that fell away, who won't be able to come back to the word, are not taught about things like the prophets and a few more things that impact the world and everything before the world begins to come to an abrupt end, in a sense of how we know it today. It'd be completely different, not a dissolved world, not a decayed world. It could look pretty bad for a while, in my own opinion, but I think there's going to be 1,000 years that they're talking about in the Bible when the devil is cast into the lake of fire. The lake of fire. The bottomless pit. Which one comes first? The bottomless pit comes first, and then he's cast into the lake of fire after 1,000 years. He's in hell, and then him and all the evil beings and everything that's still with him come back and try and do one more battle with the good, to try to overthrow the universe and make it a strongly renowned evil dimension. So they want to make our world an evil dimension. So I'm not trying to save anybody's soul or anything like that. I would like to, but I'm already kind of have my hands tied as it is. Other people can pretty much are free to think and do whatever they want with whatever religions they come from. But really, for the amount of tasks and good, positive things that Christians do for the world in particular, and them to be treated the way they are, I'm really not wanting to hold back. I'm really wanting to go ahead and just let it out and just tell people how it is, because I'm sick and tired of people not hearing it for a fact exactly the way things really are. So um, that's basically why I am doing this video. This video right here, not the other 6 ones that I just did before this or whatever. I mean this video right here in particular. I mean to make people aware in particular. If no matter any other kind of task I was trying to accomplish doing these YouTube videos, this video right here in particular, I'm trying to make people aware of the end days prophets when they go research them. Okay, so now the only other things that I want to talk about. So I'm going to review this. I'm going to take a couple of key things that I said on there. I'm going to write them down. I'm going to research it, and then I'll add that to another video. Maybe I'll exclude it instead of pasting them together. Like I said, I was going to connect this video with the last one. I might just do another video by itself with, if it's can be all out there on its own, independent video enough from these 2 that I have going right here. But these 2 right here go together. And now what I'm going to add here, I'm going to talk about demonic possessions, because I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about you selling your soul to the devil in particular, because I've been talking a little bit about this, and they put it in the movie Ghost Rider. I'm not talking about Ghost Rider 2, because I know nothing about that movie at all whatsoever, except that it's a sequel, continuation of the other movie. It's part 2 or whatever. So it connects in that sense to what we know from the first movie. And that's what I'm talking about now. The first movie, the Ghost Rider, he says that he sells his soul. So they've got people who watch that thinking that maybe it's cool to sell your soul. So I just wanted to tell people that It's real serious when you sell your soul. This is my opinion, and this is what I believe, and I believe it so much that I would swear on it. Besides this and being confronted by other people or whatnot about it and trying to be argued with, but the devil takes almost complete control of anyone who is who is in Dutch of selling their soul to him. Hang on one second, please. Hello? No, no, sir. Sure. All right. Okay. Yep. All right. I'm sorry. I have to go. I have to go do something. I have to help with some groceries and some other stuff. But I just wanted to conclude that and tell people out here to not believe what you see in the movies. It's just like they'll take any depiction from any other story and anything else, and they'll make it for their own story, which I don't disagree with. I'm not saying I have a problem with that. I just want people to be aware of if you sell your soul to go out here and be Kurt Cobain or be um, somebody else. I'm not saying that he did that actually, but if you say want to be famous or something and you sell your soul, the devil will take complete control of you and you'll have no say or anything. So it's not even really like you get to enjoy the moment in time selling your soul like that. I really have to go, but the next video that I'm going to talk about Legion. He brought up Legion in that movie. I want to bring that demon up in particular. I'm going to do my own research on Legion, and I would like to do discuss him in a next video that I'll do, and then maybe I'll continue with that with demonic possessions. But I appreciate anybody watching and viewing this, and you can look this video up on my page. Thanks.